Yeah, so I'm just curious, what's your take on the story of Joseph?
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack with the story of Joseph. I mean, first you have the fact that he was given into slavery by his brothers, right? So he was betrayed by his own family. Um, Granted, he was a little bit of an egotistical young man, kind of showing off his coat of many colors to his brothers.
Yeah.
Um, and but that doesn't mean you sell them off into slavery, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I personally believe that, Joseph's brothers were in the wrong to do what they did. They
Absolutely.
definitely could have handled it better. But I do have a feeling inside that with Joseph being the favorite son of Jacob, that discipline might have been different between the
Right.
brothers and him. And I definitely think that, he was kind of a spoiled brat when he was a kid.
Yeah, you could definitely see that from especially with him parading his coat, so
Yeah. And
uh
honestly, if I were Jacob, you know, I would have done more for the other brothers to show equal love rather than just one person. But at the same time, it doesn't make what the brothers did right. But that was
right.
part of God's plan, I think, to help Joseph, become a better person and serve his purpose.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But then when you also get into the rest of the story, it is a story of faith, Joseph's faith in God through the whole trials that he went through. It is, I mean, especially, I mean, he was arrested. Potiphar's wife had him arrested, correct? Or Potiphar had him arrested after his wife tried to make the moves on him.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to unpack with that. The forgiveness of his brothers that came later that he set up, right?
Yeah.
So and like I said before, it's the story of faith, also the faith that he maintained in God through all those trials. And there again, we go into the idea of what we just talked about, or we said earlier, was suffering well. I mean, I know that wasn't in the interview, that was pre-interview, but it is what that is, and that is a vision of how to suffer well. So
For sure. Joseph definitely suffered well. And about, if I remember reading right in the Bible, uh, Potiphar's wife was trying to, seduce Joseph, and Joseph
yes,
refused. And so she framed him for raping her. But the
right.
thing is this is just how I interpret it. I'm not too sure that Potiphar believed that his wife was telling the truth, because when you think
Yeah.
about the context of that time, execution was common for rape cases.
Oh
And
yes.
so by having Joseph put in prison instead, it implies that that Potiphar didn't believe his wife.
Yep. And you just brought up something that's very important. And I think a lot of people need to listen to what you just said. And you said the context of the time. And that is one of the main things that people miss sometimes when they interpret what's written in the Bible, is that there's a lot of context that comes out of what was going on at the time and how people were treated at the time. And thank you very much for saying that.
No problem. But yeah, I believe that what happened was, when Potiphar was told of the accusations against Joseph, I think he didn't believe his wife, but he had Joseph imprisoned to save face.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely agree that that's what
I think
happens.
he kind of went to Joseph and was like, I don't believe she's telling you the truth, but I can't have these allegations tainting my
Right.
image in Egypt, and so I have to throw you in the clink temporarily.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely right. You're absolutely right on that.
Yeah. So, what? Just curious. I want your opinion on this.
Okay.
What exactly do you think was the reason that Joseph's brothers didn't recognize him later on at first?
Well, you have to think about the number of years that it had been. You have to think about the idea that the position that he was in, the way he was possibly dressed with Egyptian style dress, being that he was an official, right? I mean, at that point, a very high official, second to Pharaoh. So if you think about that, that's huge. That would be like being the vice president, right? Here in the United States.
Yeah.
So he was elevated to that kind of position. So if you think the way he was dressed, the way he was, he probably looked relatively Egyptian to them. I
And
mean,
they
so
kind of looked like country boys or farmers, I
right.
bet.
Yeah. So that's probably why I would say they didn't recognize him, because of that, because of the dress and the way he was, presented himself at that point. So, yeah.
And
And
plus, he was
number of
20
years.
years,
Yeah.
20 years older.
Yeah.